Right, morning guys. Here for another video. Um, this time awesome again. Chapter 5 and 6. Just gonna chat a bit about the chapters, and I'm going to go through the questions with you. Right. Please note that I'm using combination of my own notes and from the PowerPoint and from the guide, and it's just a short summary. And I just need to mention that when you do work through Awesome, um, it's okay to use the PowerPoint. Um, but I've been working through the guide again. It's a very thorough explanation of the chapters in English. You don't need much more than that. So I explained one of our previous meetings. The method here is I want you to first go through the reader, the Afrikaans part. Then I want you to go through the English notes that we have, including this video, the PowerPoint chapters, as well as the awesome study guide in English. You all have it. I did push the info to your tablets and shared it on Teams as well. Especially the guide, the chapters are very, very well done and thorough, and you won't miss anything of the story, especially if you struggle with reading the actual reader. Um, the guide itself is very good to use. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to get started. We're currently in on chapter 5. So it's just as a setting, Barry's has been released from the hospital. He's at home now. And so in chapter 5, early that morning, he's woken by his mom, okay? A cup of coffee, he's not feeling too well. The police arrive again. That's Captain Feka and Sergeant Nico. Um, they arrive to take him to the station. At first, Barry's tries and causes scene. He's not at the moment willing to work with them, but his mom calms him down just to go quietly, all right. Also, the captain and the sergeant have permission from his mom, Barry's mom, Vera, to search their place for drugs, okay. Um, they take him to the hospital as well that day to go see the man that they ran over and his wife, who's a nurse there. Right, okay. Here again, not that he wants to accept it yet, but he's presented by his actions, the consequences of his decisions, the poor decisions he made, especially that day of his birthday. Okay. Um, and they talk to him about his guilt in as the person buying the drugs and sharing it with his friends and asking them to stay out longer and not go home. Right. So he's again presented by this, but he's not really ready to accept his role in everything. Okay. It's almost like he still believes everything is just going to be okay. It will work itself out. But slowly but surely, he's realizing that it's not okay. After the hospital, the captain and the sergeant once buddies to show them where he buys his drugs and who's the main dealer. He does show them around a bit, for example, a different place than where he normally buys, which isn't the butcher or where he bought the drugs that night. It's a different dealer, and they normally don't buy from him. It is a bit overpriced. Another reason, or the reason he does this, is simply at the moment too scared of the butcher, knowing he has a gun, knowing that the butcher is dangerous. He's known around the streets as a dangerous guy. Okay, so he's not totally honest with the cops. Captain Nfeka does know this though, and he's been doing this a long time. Okay. Um, After this, not getting all the info they need, they take him home, and they're warning about using drugs. Okay, again, uh, he still does it though. He found a way to hide and to still buy and hide the drugs. So he rolls himself a joint and he smokes. Okay, he is in a very bad space. You must remember this, and he was in a big accident, right? So after smoking, he goes out on the balcony, and he he hangs over the railing, and um, not necessarily that he really wanted to commit suicide or hurt himself, okay? Um, but he is number one high and number two very negative, okay? He walked onto the ledge and outstretched arms, according to the guide, and imagined himself he's an angel of God. He has wings with which he can fly higher and higher, and God will prevent him from falling and getting hurt. Now, obviously, to his mob, this looks like he just simply wants to jump uh, uh, and kill himself, but he's just busy tripping. Okay. So the next moment, his mother pulled him off, obviously very upset that he is still using, and absolutely desperate that he stops what he's busy with. Okay. He says he's simply doing it to get away from everything. He wants to escape his mind, is his words, okay? And he blames her for not telling him the full truth about his father. And you find out later there's a big story in regards of his father, all right? Okay, a very big story that will come out later. She also blames herself, okay? What did she do wrong? um, for him wanting to use drugs, etc. And that's where he says, well, it's just to escape his mind from time to time. Then she gives him an envelope, a blue envelope, with his bus ticket. He's leaving to go to his dad. Remember, it's basically like court mandated rehab. He'll spend some time on the farm while they work on the case and decide what they are going to do. Okay. Um, just so that's basically it for chapter 5. Remember, this video will be chapter 5 and 6 together, the questions as well. All right. Um, so in short, just a summary, and you'll see that what makes the guide so nice is there's a little summary at the end. Okay. Uh, if, for example, it says here before they actually they translate the chapter for you. Then there's a little chapter summary, just what we can deduct from the chapter, and then there's something about a character. For example, they talk about Barry's in this chapter. So first they say it's clear from this chapter how far Barry's drug addiction has already progressed. He's actually trying to show empathy as well for the police officer who's struggling with, who's fighting for his life in intensive care. And he even met the wife, who's a nurse at the hospital. Okay, and they they summarize the chapter for you like that. They also say in the guide that under character that Barry proves this day he's emotionally blunted. He will lie easily, so make promises and break them easily. Don't like discipline. He doesn't have respect. I'm just going to switch my microphone off that you stop hearing those sounds. Let me just see here. I'll just make it a bit softer even. Um, he doesn't have respect for people. Okay, doesn't have respect for life. He doesn't have basic manners, stuff like not once in this whole part in 5 or so chapters, like a thank you, mom, and a please this. He doesn't do it at all. He's very entitled, very privileged. Okay, while he sees everything as a right, not a privilege, he's entitled, doesn't do well with criticism. And that's how we will learn about Barry's. And remember, you can use this info, even though it has been Afrikaans, on your mind map as well. So please do translate and add it to your mind map once you start your questions. Chapter 6, okay. He packs a variety of possessions. You'll see that one of your questions talks about that, okay? And you must go look at the novel, everything he does pack, okay? His mom's still difficult about the cell phone as well. Okay. His father will have a cell phone for him when he arrives at the farm. Anyways, so he packs. His mom takes him to the station. He greets her. Um, he took so much stuff he had to pay extra for luggage. Okay. He sits at the back of the bus, not at the window though. Remember that the lady, the police woman, Sergeant Schroeder, in short her name is Nico, is going with him, traveling with him to keep an eye on him to the Eastern Cape. Okay, so they sit at the back of the bus. He's in the aisle seat. She's next to the window. They do have a very long personal conversation, getting to know each other and talking about who they are and where they're from. He tells him about himself as well. At this stage, she falls asleep, her head on a pillow pressed against the window. Um, now that they've got to know each other, and he sits there looking at her, not necessarily as a policewoman. He starts noticing her attractiveness. Um, she's got an undone button while she's sleeping, and that interests Burries obviously as a hormone-charged teenage brain, like the PowerPoint explains. Um, it finally falls asleep, and then when they wake up there in the Eastern Cape, they wake up while when all the passengers starts leaving the bus. Okay. Um, looking for his father. Remember, he's seen photos. Um, he's looking for his father when they arrive at the bus station, but there's nothing. They take out their luggage. Barry's buys them something to eat. They talk about Captain Nfeka. Um, Barry's telling Nico, Sergeant Schroeder, how hated he feels. Okay. Um, she tells him it's actually not true necessarily that Captain Nfeka, the policeman, hates him. He has a son who got involved in drugs and ended up in prison, so Captain Nfeka takes it very serious. Um, Barry's as an excuse saying people always blame the person um, blaming people always blame drugs without ever interrogating the person using it and the reasons and life um, circumstances. He might have a point there, but I think even a bigger point is Barry's is still full of excuses for his use of um, drugs. Okay, moving on. Um, he makes it also very clear that he's going to his rehab with his father. Um, sorry, I'm just going to start from the start there, that slide. Barry's also makes it clear that he's going to the rehab with his father is instrumental in saving Theo. His eyes become irritated and he struggles to use the eye drop his mother gave him before he left. So Nico assists him, and in that moment of close proximity, Barris examines her face lustfully and considers kissing her out of the blue. So obviously he's falling for this policewoman. All right. While he's standing there thinking, he doesn't really kiss her. He just thinks about it. Someone arrives in a old red beach buggy with a faded Blue Bulls flag um, decorating the roof. A tall tan man steps out and asks one of the petrol attendants quite rudely if he hasn't seen a snot-nosed brat from Gauteng. He takes long confident strides towards them, stops and jokingly asks Barry's if he's Barras Barnard. Not even Barry's his real name. He says Barras Barnard. Okay. Note that this is not his dad. All right. Okay. The guy introduces himself as Stef Jonker, acquaintance of his dad, who is fetching him. Not so. Note that his dad isn't even there waiting for him. Right, so he just sends someone to pick him up. Okay, they load the stuff onto the buggy. Buddy says goodbye to Nico, saying to us he wishes she could come with them. She gives him a credit card and says he should, not a credit card, a contact card, like a business card, tells him that he should call her when he needs her. Okay. And a second card with the number she says he should call should he encounter any trouble with his father and his historical tendencies, meaning the fact that his father is a abuser. He was one, but probably is one still. Okay. Um, if you look at this the chapter, there's a summary at the end again in your guide. So it's very important that you read through guide, all of it in English to help you understand. And then instead of a character description like the previous chapter, there's a relationship description in this case, all right? Um, uh, in this case, it is between Boris and the policewoman, Sergeant Nico Schroeder. Okay, so they do explain at the end of the chapter important characteristics of characters, but also different relationships of characters. Okay, I read a bit into the next chapter, chapter 7 now, but that's not really a problem. Okay, so where we stop now is where Guy got out of the buggy and asked Boris jokingly if he's Baras Barna. That is where chapter 6 stops. And remember, we're focusing on 5 and 6 now. A reminder to use your guide together with the PowerPoint. Right. Questions and their translations for chapter 5 and 6. It's one document. Some of the chapters are thrown together. Please remember that. Question 1, as always, werk on your spinningkop diagram. Work on your mind map or spider diagram. Ask, enter new characters, enter new important facts on there. Okay. Then question 2, vraag 2. Op bladsy 46 lees ons van 'n lasbrief. Slaan dit na en skryf neer wat dit is. On page 46, we read about what we call a warrant. Research it and write down what it is. Vraag 3. Verduidelik in een sin wat onttrekkingssimptome bladsy 48 is. Question 3. Explain in one sentence what, let me just check this word, just the correct translation. Withdrawal symptoms. Okay. So the next question asks explain what withdrawal symptoms are. Okay. And write it down. Okay. I'm just going to go back to the video. Back to Awesome. All right. Question 4. Kyk nou alles wat Barry's in se ma inpak. Is dit normaal of algemeen dat tieners soos julle dit alles bespreek? Talking about we're saying that Barry is actually very privileged, even spoiled. Go back to the novel and look what Barry's mom packs in for him for this trip to his dad's farm. Is it normal or general that teenagers own all of that? Discuss, please. Vraag 5. Die rit van Johannesburg na Humansdorp beskryf. Trek 'n atlas nader, vind die reis op 'n kaart en maak 'n tekening daarvan. The trip they take on the bus from Johannesburg to Humansdorp in the Eastern Cape, that's near Jeffreys Bay, is described in these chapters. Get an atlas or open up Google Maps. Find the trip on a map and just quickly make a small drawing for like maybe trace outline of South Africa, and then from Gauteng down to Humansdorp, just a little small map that you have, that all of us, we have an idea and a context of where he's from and where he traveled to. Okay. And then next one, remember the last question isn't necessary for writing, it's for oral discussion. You can do this by yourself just to practice it. At a later stage, remember, we will have oral discussions about Asem for actual marks. Alright. So vraag 6 vir bespreking. Beskryf die karakter Susan Schroeder, naam Nico en Barry se eerste indrukke oor haar. For discussion, just describe Sergeant Schroeder and Barry's impressions of her. Okay. Right, guys, that's it for chapter 5 and 6. A bit of explanation and questions and translations for the questions. Chapter 5 and 6, awesome. Remember to use your guide especially. Okay. Thank you. Until next time.